story happens in 1997. It is about a man named Lee Yong-gu who has a childlike mind. He cannot think like other adults, but he loves his daughter more than anything. He raises her alone and works very hard to give her a happy life, even though they do not have much money. One day, his daughter really wanted a Sailor Moon backpack, and Yong-gu promised to buy it for her on payday. But when he went to the shop, the last bag had already been sold. He begged the person who bought it to return it, but instead he was beaten up. The next morning, the buyer's young daughter came to him and said another store had the same bag. She offered to show him the way. Yong-gu followed her happily, but while they were walking, the girl slipped, fell badly, and hit her head. When Yong-gu reached her, she was not moving and was bleeding. Panicking, he tried to help her using the CPR steps he remembered from work. He removed some of her clothes to save her and tried very hard to make her breathe again, but it was too late. A woman walking by saw this and misunderstood everything. She ran to call the police. That night, Yong-gu was arrested because his mind worked like a young child's. He couldn't explain what really happened. He just kept saying he needed to go home to his daughter. But things became even worse. The girl who died was the police chief's daughter. The police took Yong-gu back to the accident place and forced him to show what happened. He copied the CPR steps like he remembered, not knowing it made him look guilty. The officers lied to him and said, "Do what we say and you can go home." He trusted them and did everything on camera. People watching became very angry and attacked him. A few days later, Yong-gu was wrongly sentenced to death and put in a cell for prisoners waiting to be executed. The warden hit him because of the crime he believed Yong-gu had done. Then he was placed in cell number 7, where very dangerous prisoners lived. The leader of the prisoners asked what he had done, but Yong-gu only said random things because he didn't understand. When the leader read the crime paper, he got angry and slapped him. The other prisoners wrapped him in a blanket and beat him badly. Yong-gu had no friends. During free time, he sat alone and wrote his daughter's name on the ground again and again. One day, he saw a prisoner sharpening a toothbrush to make a weapon. The prisoner was planning to stab the cell leader. When the attack started, Yong-gu quickly pushed the leader out of the way and got stabbed instead. Guards came and stopped the fight. After this, the prisoners changed their behavior. They started liking him. They made his bed, helped him eat, and the leader even thanked him. The leader had many connections and smuggled things into the prison by kicking balls over the fence and getting new ones filled with items. When he asked Yong-gu what he wanted the most, everyone was surprised by his answer. He wanted to see his daughter. The prisoners knew it was almost impossible, but the leader promised to try. Later, during a prison stage show, they hid Yong-gu's daughter inside a big box and secretly brought her into the prison. When the box opened, she looked around until she saw her father. Yong-gu ran to her and hugged her tightly. Both of them cried, but her being inside the prison was very dangerous. If the guards found her, all the prisoners would get extra years in jail. One prisoner panicked and tried to call the guards, but the little girl held his hand and looked at him with sad eyes. He couldn't speak and stayed quiet. Because the event ended earlier than expected, the girl couldn't leave the same way. She had to stay inside cell number 7. The father and daughter were happy, but the prisoners were always scared of being caught. Still, the girl brought happiness to the dark cell. The tough prisoners became soft and kind around her, like she was their own child. Soon, they heard about a religious event. The leader planned to dress the girl in church clothes and let her escape with the group. She cried in her father's arms. She thought everything was her fault. She thought her wish for a backpack caused all the problems, but Yong-gu never blamed her. For him, her happiness was everything. The next day, they hid her inside a cart and pushed it toward the event. But when they arrived, they found out it wasn't a church event. It was a Buddhist ceremony. Back in the cell, the leader shouted at the prisoner who got the information wrong. Meanwhile, the warden was looking at event photos. In one picture, he saw a small girl who wasn't in the others. He realized something was wrong. He ordered the guards to search every cell. The prisoners rushed to hide the girl behind the door again. The guard came in and checked everything. Just when it looked like they would leave, the warden bent down and opened the lower part of the door. Later, rain poured hard on the prison as the guards stood outside cell number 7, feeling proud that earlier they had tricked the warden for a moment. But their happiness did not last. The warden walked straight to the cell and stood silently. He knew something was going on. Soon they found the hidden girl. The warden ordered the officers to take her out of the prison immediately. Yong-gu, tied up and scared, followed behind, trying to speak, trying to explain, but no one listened. He was tied even tighter and thrown into a dark solitary room. But the night was not peaceful. That night, something shocking happened in the prison again. One prisoner, very upset after hearing about cell number 7, secretly took fuel and started a fire. The fire spread fast and thick smoke filled the rooms. The prison chief told everyone to move to the open yard, but he stayed behind to calm the troubled prisoner who had lost control and refused to move. While others were going out, Yongu saw the chief fall down from the smoke. He ran into the burning building and saved him. Later, in the medical room, the chief saw that the person who saved him was the same gentleman he had doubted. He allowed Yongu to meet his daughter again. They spoke through a thick glass wall. When their short time ended, guards pulled him away as his daughter cried and pressed her hands on a glass. The chief felt confused and troubled. He could not believe a loving father like that could be a monster. Soon, the little girl became sick from missing him. When the chief visited her, she begged for answers he could not give. He left in tears. A few days later, a big box arrived in cell number 7. When the box opened, Yongu's daughter jumped out, filling the whole cell with joy. The guard said the chief had arranged everything. From then on, the girl visited every weekend. The prisoners treated her like their little sister. Wanting to thank the chief, Yongu visited him. Before he left, the chief asked about the crime, but Yongu could not explain anything. This made the chief determined to find the truth. He read the old case papers and found that the confession written under Yongu's name was too neat and detailed. The chief knew something was wrong. Time was running out before the final trial. The prisoners in cell number 7 decided to help. They repeated the accident scene again and again until they understood what really happened. The little girl had slipped on ice, pulled a rope tied to a brick, and the brick had hit her by accident. Her pants were removed because Yongu was trying to warm her legs, hoping she would wake up. They wrote a simple statement for him to memorize. They practiced it with him daily, even in the yard by acting out the court process. Slowly, he learned his part. Finally, the trial day came. The chief removed Yongu's restraints, but inside the courtroom, everything fell apart. When the judge asked about the brick, the crowd became angry. No one knew the truth. That before the trial, the police head had beaten him and threatened to hurt his daughter if he didn't confess again. Scared for her safety, Yongu repeated the false confession. The chief tried to defend him, but nothing worked. The court gave him the death penalty. After that, the little girl stopped visiting. Missing her terribly, Yongu wrote her name again and again on the glass walls. Seeing this, the prisoners decided to help him escape. They worked together to make a huge, colorful hot air balloon. One evening, they put Yongu and his daughter in it and released it, pretending they were letting them fly to freedom. But the balloon got stuck in a safety net. Everyone knew it wouldn't work, but they had tried their best. The day of the execution arrived, which was also the girl's birthday. The prisoners gave her small handmade gifts. Yongu gave her the backpack she always wanted. 5 inmates and the girl signed their names on his uniform. After saying goodbye, he walked with his daughter. The chief saw the names and felt his heart break. When the door closed, guards took him away. He tried to stay brave, but once out of sight, he fell to the floor in fear. His daughter counted numbers to comfort him, but this time he did not return. Realizing the truth, she cried at the gate. The chief watched helplessly, tears in his eyes. No one could stop it. The world had failed an innocent man. After the execution, the chief took care of the girl. With his and his wife's love, she grew into a smart and strong woman. She studied hard, became a lawyer, and brought together the old inmates from cell number 7. With all the evidence they collected, they returned to court. This time, the truth came out. The judges declared that her father had always been innocent. After 15 years, justice finally arrived. In her heart, she imagined the colorful balloon rising high into the sky again, carrying her gentle father and herself free and happy above the prison wall.